America, we need to do better, bro. So I just got back from Europe, so I'm a little bit broke. So I was like, let me just go to the grocery store to purchase groceries to save money. Came back from the grocery store. Bro, our quality and stuff is kind of disrespectful and trash compared to when I went to the grocery store in Europe to get some things to, last a week. And it's been night and day in regards to quality and information of quality, as far as like what is healthy, what is not healthy. Like, I think it's super cool that Europe has a grading system on all products in the grocery store. I don't think we necessarily have that, but I think they started that in the US. I think I've seen it on a few products, but not all. But why are eggs so expensive, honestly? That too. Why are eggs so expensive?
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that affects all of us, our next trip to the grocery store. If you noticed recently that your grocery bills are creeping up, you're not imagining it, and unfortunately it is about to get worse. Behind the rising prices is a storm of economic shifts, trade policy changes, and supply chain issues. Let's unpack how tariffs, trade agreements, and immigration policies are already hitting the food industry and what that means for your dinner table in the month ahead. So for the most of this year, Americans have watched as the Trump administration ramped up tariffs and at the same time hinted at even more tariffs to come. And while the stock market and official job numbers have stayed surprisingly steady, that might be about to change. A weak jobs report released on August the 1st was one of many red flags issued recently. Combine that with slowing GDP growth and a rising consumer price index, and we are starting to see the early signs of a very rough road ahead, especially when it comes to food here in the United States. One number stands out the most. Food prices rose 0.3% in June and are up 3% year over year. That might not sound like much, but for families on a budget, on a fixed income, as an average American lives, it clearly adds up really fast. And most importantly, this might just be the beginning. According to Forbes, almost 90% of Americans are now worried about the cost of groceries. More than half of Americans, 53% to be exact, see grocery prices as a major source of stress. More people were concerned about grocery prices than any other financial concern brought up in the poll, but more than half of respondents also said that they were at least somewhat stressed about their salaries, the cost of housing, the amount of money they have saved, their credit card debt, of course, one of the big issues, and the cost of healthcare. From June 2024 to June 2025, groceries got more expensive in every category tracked by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Meats, poultry, fish, and eggs rose in price by 5.6%. Egg prices alone rose 27.3%. Can you imagine that? That's just in a span of 12 months. At 3%, the cost of food is rising faster than the overall inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index at 2.7%. Thanks to trade deals like NAFTA and the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, most agricultural products from Mexico and Canada come into the United States tariff-free, duty-free in other words. In fact, Mexico and Canada now supply over $75 billion worth of food to the United States every single year. So anyone who supports waging an economic war on these two neighboring countries ought to think twice. In fact, the Trump administration should have thought twice before imposing tariffs on the countries that we so heavily depend on for our basic needs, the very basic needs, before even having the capacity to replace those imports with domestically produced items. One of the issues is that the United States doesn't have the capacity to replace those items at an equal or lesser cost. In other words, making a political statement was far more important to Trump than your survival, and it's as simple as that. But with the Trump administration calling the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement a, quote, transitional deal and pushing for renegotiation, the trade stability is now in question. If tariffs do expand further, American importers will be effectively responsible for paying new fees as the importer of record. According to USDA, in 2025, before tariffs even go into effect, this is before tariffs go into effect, mind you, prices for all food items are predicted to already increase by 2.9%, with a prediction interval of 2.2% to 3.7%. Food at home prices are predicted to increase 2.2%, with a prediction interval of 1.1 to 3.4%. And the next category, food away from home, is expected to increase 4%, with a prediction interval of 3.5% to 4.4%. It's not just about tariffs either. For example, a new 17% anti-dumping duty on Mexican tomatoes took effect in July. That's just one item, but it affects hundreds of businesses, thousands of jobs, and millions of grocery baskets here in the United States. Agriculture isn't like selling widgets. You can't ramp up production overnight. Growing produce takes years, not days, of planning, financial risk, and, wait for it, infrastructure, something that we, the United States, lack on a truly national scale. Right now, we are in summer. That means U.S. farms are producing more of what you see in stores. But when winter comes, we rely heavily on imports from Mexico and Canada to keep shelves stocked. It's quite likely that in just several months, American consumers will start to feel real pain. Fewer imports, higher costs, and more empty shelves. And all of that is courtesy of current trade policies. Some of American farmers have started to scale back their growing operations by farming only a portion of their available acreage. And that is something that is very, very important to understand, because as we reduce our imports, because duties are now higher, so of course importers are less incentivized to import more. Demand remains the same, but our domestic producers are actually struggling because the U.S. economy is slowing. So domestic producers do this to conserve cash for the next couple of years. As anyone now understands, volatility and instability will only worsen. They're here to stay. Less farming means less food and, of course, higher prices. The uncertainty is just too high and the risk is too great. Without a predictable trade environment, even experienced American growers are pulling back. There is another piece to this puzzle which should not be ignored, and that is labor. Even before tariffs, U.S. agriculture was struggling with labor shortages. Right now, immigration crackdowns have made it worse. And yes, before you say anything, we do need to impose immigration laws. We do need to protect our borders, but we also need to be fully aware of how it's done, whether it is constitutional, and what the downstream impact is. Despite initial promises not to target farm workers, recent ICE actions have spooked immigrant communities. Whether you like it or not, without that workforce, even domestic farms are scaling back. That's just the truth, whether you like it or not. Fewer hands in the fields means smaller harvests, tighter supply, and yes, higher prices again. American workers are not rushing to replace those farming jobs, by the way, so that's another factor to understand. Have you noticed the price of your groceries go up? And I'll see you back here on my channel tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
I was today years old whenever I found out that prices are increasing and it's hidden in plain sight. We're in Walmart.
So remember how you used to come shopping and on all the price tags there would be like perforated little pieces and then it would have the price on it? Well, if you look around, all of those are gone. They've ripped them off just about everything, and then they're putting these other stickers on there. Well, I guess the people are working as fast as they can, and they skip this one. So you can see that there's an $8.98 sticker on it, but it used to be $7.98. So prices are going up, and it's happening. We're just not paying attention to it because they're tricking us. I did not discover that on my own. I was TikToking late one night, and I seen another lady post about it.